All right, so we've gone through the introduction. You've learned your body points. Bai Hui, Dan Tian, Hui Ying, bubbling wells. We've gone over the principles, the important points, structure. We've learned our preparation exercise, the roll downs. We've learned our walking, Tai Chi walking. We've learned our basic stance, the bow stance. Now it's time to get into the form. Remember, what we're learning here, what you'll be learning in this workshop, this course, is 4 movements: ward off, roll back, press, and push, which I will get into later. But before we get into those named postures, which you can tell what they are by where you put your hands, we need to learn how to move the waist and shift the weight properly. Because if this is not done correctly, it doesn't matter where you put your hands, how much you correct them, they'll always be wrong. If the waist and the separation of weight in the legs is incorrect, doesn't matter what you do, it will be incorrect. So this part is the most important, and it's a very simple thing to do. It's simple but difficult at the same time. So it's simply explained, but it's difficult to achieve. But with that said, let's get started. So we're going to take a step back with the right leg, and when you take a step back, keep your heel on the same line so our feet stay shoulder width apart. And at this point, remember, the feet are parallel. You want to look at the middle of the foot, draw a line straight out, and it should go straight infinitely. It shouldn't go this way or this way. Now, we're not going to keep the back foot like that. We're going to turn the back foot out, as I taught you, turning on the heel. Turn on the heel, not the ball of the foot. Turn it to 45. So, those who aren't good with these kind of things, like me, like with math, I'm going to draw it for you. So this is a 90-degree angle, and your foot is going to be right down the middle. And remember, look at the center of the foot. Now, we're ready to release and relax our legs, okay? And when you do this, make sure, like I said before, that the back leg is not straightening up, because we have a tendency to want to brace ourselves, okay? Release and relax. And if you do this correctly, your body's going to be upright if you're tucking and extending up from the head. Now, if you're doing it wrong, you're going to be leaning forward like this. Even slightly is incorrect, because remember, we want the energy going up and down, not leaning. You don't want to lean, all right? Now, next, we're going to turn the waist, and I'm going to stick this in my belly button. It's pointing straight out, so this indicates that my waist is pointing to that direction. We want to bring it right around at 12 o'clock to this camera, straight into this camera, without twisting the spine and without moving, especially the back foot. Very important. Did you just move that back foot? Can't do it. All right? Lastly, what we're going to do is separate the weight properly, which means 80% in the front, 20% in the back, and I suggest you get a straight stick, because if you look down, it will be inaccurate because of the angle you're looking at. So you will definitely want to know if that toe is up to the knee. Later, you can dispense with this once you get the feeling and you want to listen to the soles of the feet. 80%, 20%. Don't straighten that back leg. Don't move the feet. Go over structure, remember? See if you've checked off all those points. Once you've done that, we're ready to go. And we're going to go to one of the principles: control from the waist. We are not pushing off the ground to move. We are moving, controlling from the waist. And if your posture, your structure is correct, then you won't need to push off the ground. If you feel pressure rising, pushing off the ground, then you're doing it incorrectly. All right? Now, this is our starting point, and we're going to come back here, and we're just going to go back and forth. We're going to cycle through these movements. Now, I'm going to put this here so you can see what's going on with my waist. I'm going to turn my waist to the right without pushing off the ground, and I'm going to begin to shift my weight into the back leg. Okay? And I'm not going to twist my spine, and I'm not going to twist my knee. And staying relaxed, that tells me when to stop. Now, my waist is open because I've been practicing Tai Chi for a long time. So I'm going to be able to turn more than you. Don't look at my posture and think, you have to turn as much. You need to stay relaxed. Now, my weight is now separated into the back leg. I'm going to return home, turn left, and this is how you shift the weight, controlling from the waist. Boom, come right back to 12 o'clock, 80% in the front, and repeat. Now, keep going, Same speed. Stay level. And remember what I talked about the bubbling wells? As you shift the weight, as you turn the waist without pushing off the ground, you're going from one bubbling well to the other bubbling well. You're not coming into the foot, going from the heel and moving the weight forward into the bubbling well. It's pouring directly from one bubbling well to the other bubbling well. And notice as I turn, my spine doesn't twist. You'll notice my nose and this stick, my navel, stay on the same line. Now, there are no linear movements in Tai Chi. Everything is always turning and always rounded. So you need to stay away from linear movements, which means, and I'll demonstrate a linear movement. Okay, that's a 1-2, and I went linear and then I turned. No, this all happens at the same time. This is what you need to train into your nervous system, into your body, is this always turning, always controlling from the waist, yet you're also shifting and you're not pushing off the ground. Remember, this shifting has to be controlled from the waist, not from you engaging your muscle and pushing off the ground. That creates a linear movement. Turning from the waist makes a rounded movement. Now, when we issue energy in Tai Chi, it's linear. It comes out of the body linear, but to create it, we turn. All right, let me drop this stick. Go a few more times. All right, so keep going. Keep your head up. You probably started to look at the ground. Make sure your head's up. And you'll hear me say this all the time. And I know to say this because I've taught a lot of students and I know what students, a majority, like to do. And one thing is to start looking at the ground. And if you start doing that, your head comes forward and this breaks your posture. Your energy is no longer going straight up and down. So you need to keep that head on top, your head on top of your spine. The head weighs about 13 pounds. And if it becomes unbalanced, it'll start to drag you into the direction it's leaning. And you don't want that. Remember, energy straight up and down. Even though the legs are bent, the energy is going straight up and down. And if you're doing this correctly, your legs should start to get tired. All right? And let's bring that foot back in. All right? And let's just bounce our legs back, up and down like this. Bounce. All right? This is to get the blood flow going again. All right? Now, practice that a few times. When you feel somewhat confident, you don't have to master it right away. This takes a long time to master. Then you can move on to the practice video where you will practice with me. We will do a practice session where we'll do the preparation exercise, followed by the walking exercise, followed by the basic stance, which is a strengthening exercise. And then we'll do what we just learned here. All right. And once you feel confident with that, once you can do that by yourself without the video, without following me, move on to the next lesson, finish that lesson, and then we'll have a practice session for that lesson. And that's how we're going to progress through the whole grasp the sparrow's tail. All right. So practice, and I'll see you in the next video.